Good evening. Hi. Welcome. My name is Solomon Caceres, past president of the JCC, and I will be your MC for tonight. Welcome to the JCC of Greater Vancouver's 2021 Annual General Meeting. I believe it was at this point last year when I was MCing, I probably said something like, I look forward to seeing you all next year live and in person. However, things have not worked out that way. I made a prediction that didn't come true. I did look forward to seeing all of you. We are doing this virtually for health and safety reasons, and I look forward to seeing you next year at the 2022 Annual General Meeting. Note that we now have a quorum. I do call this meeting to order. I need a motion to accept the minutes of the Annual General Meeting of November 17th, 2020 be adopted as presented. For these votes, as you saw on the slide that was on your screen before we started, we're using the same procedure as last year. So you will have an opportunity to vote virtually on your computers. So I have that motion. I need a second. Okay, all in favor or opposed, please vote. Motion carried. Okay, next, please welcome Lionel Raber, our treasurer, who will now present the financial report and audit.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here tonight as treasurer of the JCC to present to you for your approval the audited financial statements for the Jewish Community Centre of Vancouver for the fiscal year ending August 31st, 2021. Additionally, we will be considering for your approval the appointment of KPMG as our auditors for the fiscal year commencing September 1st, 2021. Present tonight is Carol Chang, partner at KPMG, our auditing firm, and she is available to answer your questions regarding the financial statements. The financial statements include the auditor's report, statement of financial position, statement of operations and changes in net assets, the statement of cash flows, and the accompanying notes to the financial statements. The financial statements can be viewed via the Zoom link provided. There will also be a motion to approve the increase of an internally restricted fund to $400,000 to provide financial relief for fiscal 2022. The COVID-19 pandemic continues to have a significant impact financially for the JCC. I'm using a bar graph to demonstrate the COVID-19 impact on the major revenue items. I am purposely comparing fiscal 2021 to fiscal 2019, as the latter year is more indicative of our normal operations. For example, program revenue. There has been a 22% drop in overall program revenue, which translates to a dollar reduction of over $1.1 million. As you are aware, during 2021, we gradually opened the JCC with more hours and offered more in-person sessions. Although every effort was made to control staffing and overhead expenses, only a slight reduction in overall expenditure was achieved. The benefit, however, was that a full calendar of events and programming was available to our membership. In regard to fundraising, the 2021 JCC annual campaign raised $115,000 more than in the previous years. However, due to COVID restrictions, the annual sports dinner was held virtually, and therefore ticket sales and sponsorships were significantly affected. Membership revenue. During fiscal 2021, we experienced a 38% decline in membership revenue when comparing to the 2019 fiscal year. I would like to acknowledge those, forgive me for I made an error here. This represents almost a $400,000 reduction when comparing to the 2019 fiscal year. I would like to acknowledge those members who chose not to use the facility, but yet continue to pay their membership dues by way of a donation to the JCC. Other grants. The community gaming grant increased to almost $200,000, as well as increased funding from the Jewish Federation of Vancouver to almost $800,000. Additionally, the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy Program provided the JCC with approximately $1.2 million. Therefore, there's very important information that is being reflected on the financial statements. You can see that we actually incurred an operational deficit of $1,141,096. This has been offset by the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy of $1,248,608 and other COVID relief funding. Going forward for fiscal 2022, this subsidy program is set to expire this month in November. Consequently, a budget deficit is anticipated for fiscal 2022. Fortunately, we have deferred a further $282,878 from the current year surplus to help cover this projected deficit. Therefore, a total of $400,000 is now internally restricted. Furthermore, the JCC has a $2 million line of credit available with its banker that can be utilized if necessary. The Building Fund. This is a newly created fund for the redevelopment of the JCC property. As you know, it contemplates a new JCC building as well as 2 apartment towers. The name for this development is called the J West Project. In fiscal 2021, we received a $3 million grant from the BC government. To date, $760,000 has been spent. The remaining funds will continue to be used for the J West Development Project. The Capital Fund. Donations, grants, and expenditures received prior to the $3 million grant just described are reported in this fund. Additionally, represented in the Capital Fund is the acquisition of digital equipment supported by a BC Special Capital Gaming grant to enhance our ability to run programs virtually and to improve their quality. The Endowment Fund. The stock market improved in 2021, and consequently, we benefited by an unrealized gain of $903,000 at the year end of August 31st, 2021. Now I want to talk to you about the Norman Rothstein Theatre. The Jewish Community Centre owns the Norman Rothstein Theatre. However, it is operated by the Vancouver West Side Theatre Society, a separate registered society. In accordance with its mission statement, the JCC of Greater Vancouver has funded many of these cultural activities and from the beginning assumed financial responsibility for all of these operations. The Centre financially supports the theatre with a grant in aid as needed. In 2021, the theatre applied and received its operating grants plus COVID-19 relief grants to offset its losses in rentals and the chutzpah ticket sales. It therefore operates on a break-even basis. The financial well-being of the Centre requires many hours of hard work by management and staff, the accounting staff, the finance committee, and our key leaders. I would like to use this opportunity to thank the members of the finance committee, which is comprised of Zev Shafran, Saul Caceres, Alvin Wasserman, and myself. Management is headed by Eldad Goldfarb, the executive director, and Cynthia Yang, the controller. I would also like to acknowledge and thank both the Jewish Federation of Greater Vancouver and the Jewish Community Foundation for their ongoing financial support through grants and annual allocations. And finally, a big thank you to all the JCC staff and our volunteers for your hard work to keep the Centre running as smoothly as possible. This concludes my formal report. Are there any questions or comments? We have 3 motions that need to be introduced to the membership for your approval. The first motion is that I move to increase the internally restricted fund by $282,878 to a total of $400,000 to provide financial relief for the fiscal year 2022 to deal with the COVID-19 impact. May I have a second? May I have a show of hands for those who agree or disagree? The second motion is that I move that the audited financial statements be accepted as presented. May I have a second? May I have a show of hands for all who agree or disagree? Motion number 3. I move the appointment of KPMG as our auditors for the year commencing September 1st, 2021. May I have a second? Can I have a show of hands for those who agree? Thank you.
Thank you, Lionel. Now please welcome Alvin Wasserman, our president, who will now present his president's report.
Hi, if you're at home watching this AGM instead of Netflix or something else, I want to reward you by being to the point and valuing your time and your attention. It's been a year full of meeting rapidly shifting challenges here at the J, and I join others in thanking our staff and volunteers for taking us to new places and keeping our programs relevant and accessible and carefully here in the building. A huge thank you to our members who largely hung in with us with membership dropouts way less than the norms across JCC across North America. We get by with a lot of help from our friends. Not only did government come through for us with wage subsidies that allowed us to keep invaluable talent and professionals with us, there was a lot of help from a lot of other places. First of all, our brothers and sisters at Federation were there for us again in a major way, with moral and financial support that was a lifeline for many of our most valued programs for seniors and children in particular. When our board and committee members reached out, along with our fundraising professionals, our friends, supporters, donors, and trusted businesses responded generously again. We achieved close to record donations in our Support a Cause fundraising at our JCC Sports Dinner, and we then surpassed our annual campaign target of $100,000 by over $50,000. The JCC is whole today largely because of them and you. We ask a lot of our leadership, Eldad and his team, and all those on the board, communities and working groups, and we have a lot to ask. It's because our vision is bold and unprecedented, and of a scale that's nothing less than historic. We're out to build a new, expansive JCC with space to accommodate programs into the future, and most importantly, to create a place that fosters intergenerational community bonds. Preschoolers with seniors, high school students with adult professionals as mentors, open doors and open hearts. We see a vital and amazing community connection point here, with a new home for many of the most cherished Jewish institutions we have: King David High School, the Vancouver Holocaust Educational Center, a new state-of-the-art theater, the library, the art gallery. Here, will be expanded space for Federation and all the Jewish agencies currently residing or actually wanting to reside in the J. All this along with rental housing. So there are options for families in our community wanting to live in what's becoming the new city center here in Vancouver. We've made steady progress with support that has so far exceeded expectations. We hope soon we'll be in a position to make significant announcements, not just about reaching milestones, but demonstrating the incredible momentum this massive redevelopment has already garnered. We've moved from dream to vision to what will soon be an exciting reality. When we come to you for advice, support, and an unprecedented opportunity to make a generational difference to your community, I know you will be there to answer our call. Thanks.
Thank you, Alvin. Now, we're going to be doing a great part of the evening, the President's Awards for Exceptional Volunteer Service. We are honoring 9 volunteers this year. This is one of the reasons why I like being live and in person, because this is a great moment and we do really appreciate all of our volunteers. To present the awards, we will have 3 JCC staff: Aviva Rothstein to present library volunteers, Lemore Cohen to present inclusion volunteers, and Shirley Bergowitz to present early childhood education volunteers. Before they get started, I do want to also just say my personal thank you to all the volunteers. Without you, we are not the JCC. We're not able to provide all the services that we do, all the programming. Volunteers are really kind of the lifeblood of this center, and I do want to say my personal thank you to you.
I'm here to present an award to our fabulous volunteer Anne Lerner. Anne's familiarity with the Baldwin Library began when Shirley Stein invited her to join the weekly News and Views discussion group. She also attended Jewish Book Festival author events at the library. For many years, Anne has volunteered at the Baldwin Library's annual book sale, which she says she finds unique and a great benefit to bibliophiles from across the city, and also a great way to keep books in circulation. For the past 3 years, Anne has also been a weekly volunteer at the library's circulation desk. This is how I've come to know Anne. Not only was Anne a champion this year with her dedication to making telephone calls, she also has the loveliest phone presence, which puts our library members and friends of the library at ease. We couldn't have nearly done as well with the telephone without her. She also regularly recommends good books for purchase. Additionally, Anne has filled in extra shifts many times when we've been absent volunteers, and we are so very grateful for her help in the library and to have her as our volunteer. Congratulations, Anne. And now I'll pass it on to Shirley.
Hello, I'm here to present the award to a very special man, a loving husband and father, an anthropologist, a JCC member, and for the past few years, our youth floor hockey program leader, Hartley Oberberg. Hartley grew up in Winnipeg in a very tight-knit Jewish community. He was raised surrounded by a blanket of community and an understanding of the importance of community for social, mental, and spiritual well-being. When he moved to Vancouver in the 90s, it took him a while to figure out the Jewish community. But in 2010, when his and his wife's children started in Gani Eladim at the JCC, it all came back to him. And he dove right back into the community at all levels. Hartley and his family made lifelong and deep connections through the JCC. In his own words, Hartley would say, "I love teaching floor hockey. I've played ice and floor hockey my entire life at the JCC because it allowed me another venue into the community, and now I feel like I'm contributing. I felt the class was particularly vital during COVID as the kids had so few opportunities to socialize and exercise together. I'd really be socializing on the J, and I can't wait for life to return to normal so we can all schmooze again." For the past few years, Hartley has dedicated himself to coaching the JCC Youth Floor Hockey program. He's a committed and passionate parent, an invaluable community member, a leader, a role model, and a pleasure to work with. Thank you, Hartley, for making late Tuesday afternoons a pleasure to stick around. You make such a difference in the lives of youth. Thank you. Do that.
In the summer of 2020, during the early part of the pandemic, when the vaccine was just in development, we were still debating about the transmission of the virus, and there was really no end in sight. Adult 55+ Programs Coordinator Lisa Cohen-Quay and I started to plot out a community outreach effort to provide support and services to our shut-in and vulnerable community members. We were particularly concerned about socially and physically isolated older adults, the medically frail, community members with mental health challenges, and those adults with adult dependents. Having created weekly and monthly low-barrier food-sharing activities in the inclusion and adults 55+ communities pre-pandemic, we knew that the challenges that these populations faced, both those isolated, those self-isolating, and those food insecure, would be drastically compounded by the pandemic. We needed a way to get fresh and healthy foods into these households that was low stigma and similar to our food sharing activities pre-pandemic, a space for building friendships while learning how to cook new and healthy recipes. We wanted to move our communities online in a way that was engaging, reassuring, and fun. Mostly, we wanted to remind our community members that they had not been forgotten by the larger community. The We Are With You, a food and fitness program for vulnerable populations through COVID-19 Phase 3, evolved from all these considerations. It was a way to continue some of our community activity, including low-barrier food sharing, even if we could not do so physically and in person. Kosher meal kits, online cooking instruction, and real-time interaction and discussions about food and culture, fostering connection through virtual meal sharing, shared Sunday virtual brunches, dinners and a movie. These numerous points of connections delivered to these populations were facets to reinforce the message that we are with you, even in these turbulent times. There were a lot of moving parts to this project. The challenge was execution. We had the support and expertise of several of our colleagues and the resources of the organization at our disposal, but the learning curve in bringing this programming into the homes of our community members was steep. We needed help, and the truth is, we were tired and scared too. We knew we could not get the project off the ground without significant help. We were worried about calling out to the community for support when we may be putting them at risk of catching the virus and getting sick. But we made the call for help anyways. Several community members stepped up that first week. Of course they wanted to help, they assured us. Of course they wanted to be part of our efforts. For many shut-in community members, these deliveries were a lifeline. Seeing their volunteer drivers weekly, knowing that people cared about them, unpacking the meal kits was something to look forward to in many of the households that we serviced, especially in those first few months. Additionally, the volunteer deliveries brought seasonal farm fresh produce, Jewish holiday celebration foods, and other items needed for virtual programming throughout the past year, including holiday and get well cards, comfort items, equipment, and art supply kits. Our community members were grateful for these deliveries, short visits, and for the friendship. It meant everything. As one 78-year-old isolating senior shared, I feel fortunate that I was referred to these programs, which have helped me through a pretty tough time, keeping me grounded and connected to others during the pandemic. You made it so easy to ask for help. I don't know what I would have done without the new friends I made with the cooking classes and getting fresh ingredients delivered. I have tried new recipes, explored new tastes, vegetables, lentils, and spices that I'd never tried before and will use again. It's very helpful to get fresh foods each week that I wouldn't have otherwise, since I'm not going out of the house and I rely on others for grocery shopping. She goes on to share, I've learned so many new things, am eating healthier, met really nice people, and am healthier in body and in mind than I've been for a very long time. These programs have helped my mental well-being by keeping me positively focused, connected to other people with lots of fun and laughter, and I look forward to every activity. It's difficult to put into words how these programs became central to my everyday life. It is such an honor to nominate the following people for a President Award for their community service: Paul Daltrop and Kathy Jones, Miriam Girlfuff, Bess Hirsch, Stephen Quay, Leslie Sapers, and Jack Snidey. Congratulations, and thank you so much for showing up every single week for almost a year on all those dreary, rainy fall and winter days during that scary time, masked up and waiting outside of our doors for your deliveries. There would have been no We Are With You project without these 7 volunteers who made this incredibly special community outreach a reality. Thank you.
An organization as large as the JCC and other organizations like that, especially ones that are front-facing with so many people coming in, what you see when you come in and when you talk to people, it's just a sort of the tip of the little iceberg. That's just the front-facing part. But underneath the water, all the things that make that tip possible are so important. And the core of what's underneath that water, in this sort of iceberg kind of analogy, are the core values, the absolute foundation of who the organization is.
When we come together with a shared group of core values, that's when we really make that magic happen.
Just don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Thank you.
My name is Gabrielle. My name is Gloria. My name is Kayla. I've done ballet and swimming at the JCC.
My name's Jasper. I've done swimming, D&D, and Camp Shalom at the JCC.
My name is Ethan, and I've been going to the JCC since before I was born. I would do dance classes, I would go to Camp Shalom, I would do pretty much everything here.
I would say I like it here because I like there's swimming lessons, and I also like all the kind staff. All the activities it provides for the Jewish community. When I walk in the into the JCC door, I feel excited.
If I was in charge of the JCC, there would be a few things I would change.
I would put more free areas, like places where all ages and stuff can hang out.
I would probably start a community garden where Bagel Club and Club J would all have their own sections, and just everyone from the JCC could be a part of it.
Ooh, ball pit. Ball pit. Everything needs a ball pit.
I think it's important for the JCC that recycling and agriculture, whatever that is, I don't know what it is important because it helps our environment to be more stable and safe. I think it's important to take care of the environment because we need the earth to grow. I'll say do not litter.
I love how the people here are so inclusive and fun and nice.
I feel happy when I'm at the JCC because it's always going to be a safe place for everyone.
I think the key to the JCC's future success is the same as it always has been in the past, and what they continue to do is just create fantastic programming.
I love the JCC.
I love the JCC.
I love the JCC.
We love the JCC. That's terrible. I just want to.
Now I'd like to recognize the work of an outgoing board member. Not renewing this year after her term has expired is Hillary Cooper. Hillary did serve on the board now, renewing many times. She served 14 years, many of those on the executive. Hillary was very involved in many aspects of the JCC, including on a very important front, which is fundraising. Hillary helped co-chair our annual campaign a few years back, and that really was the start of an increase and an improvement in our annual campaign. Her and Marty Tritt and our committee really did reinvigorate our annual campaign to something that has become an important part of our year. So thank you, Hillary, for all your work. We will plant trees in Israel to honor your service here at the jail. Now on the agenda is the nomination and election of new board members. This year, we have some returning board members renewing for a new 3-year term, and those are Lisa Aberbeck, Jill Shore, Debbie Jacobson, Lauren Zimmering, and Zev Schaffer. We also are excited to announce that we have 2 new board members joining us, Josh Gibbons and Ellie Groshko. Both of them have been involved recently at the J. They're both members, and their families have been involved in the daycare and the after care for their kids, so they're enthusiastic to come and join the board and help us out in this activities that we're doing, including obviously the exciting new transformation of our site. So welcome, Josh and Ellie. We look forward to working with you. There were no further nominations received from the membership by the date outlined in the JCC's bylaws. Therefore, I present this motion. I move that the proposed slate be elected to the board of directors serving a 3-year term ending as of JCC AGM in 2024. You need a second? Okay, now you can all vote on your computers. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, next I'd like to welcome Aldan Coldfarm so that he can deliver his executive director's report.
Good evening. Last year on this occasion, we were adjusting to a radical new way of operating. We were in the midst of the biggest shutdown the modern world has ever seen. It was a time of closing doors, of feeling our way through unknown terrain. In the past 12 months, much has changed, though much has also remained the same. In recent weeks and months, our focus has been very much on opening doors. We were returning to something more normal. We are welcoming people of all ages back into our spaces. Looking back, we have an enormous amount to be proud of. The facility closed for 6 weeks last year, from mid-March to the end of April, but we ramped up immediately to deliver services in new ways. Thanks to financial support, most notably from the Provincial Gaming Grant Program, we have been able to implement advanced audiovisual equipment, helping us record and live stream our programs. Through these technologies and the resilience of our staff team, we have actually reached more people in more places than ever before. Hebrew language teachers, fitness instructors, educators, and program leaders have noted how many people have joined their programs that would have been geographically out of reach to many participants were it not for the miracles of modern communications. there have been great many silver linings. The JCC did not experience a single outbreak during the pandemic. Knock on wood. This is not good luck, it's good management. From the outset, we instituted procedures and protocols that not only met, but also exceeded provincially mandated health requirements. We spent a lot of time and resources cleaning and sanitizing the facilities. Our staff were trained to screen visitors. Our members were overwhelmingly supportive and understanding. Frontline workers, doctors, nurses, these are the heroes of our age. But there was something deeply heroic too about the way our staff responded. In a global pandemic, people who work directly with the public became frontline personnel in a time of crisis. It was because of their devotion to their work and the execution of our protocols that we kept all visitors and staff to our campus safe. For this and for all that they do in normal days, our JCC staff family really deserves our gratitude. Every family, every business, and every organization in the world has had to adapt in the past year and a half. The JCC had, in some ways, even more adapting to do. Changing guidelines have been an understandable necessity over this period. Restaurants, performance spaces, art galleries, fitness and gym facilities, pools, daycare facilities, senior centers, libraries, every public-facing facility has had to adapt to different regulations. But think about that. The JCC includes all of these things and more. Instead of adapting to a single standard of fluctuating guidelines, we have been faced with balancing protocols for a dozen or more facilities, because that's the kind of place we are. And again, despite the inherent challenges, our staff excelled and our members showed kindness and understanding. No other Jewish community agency depends as much as we do on fees for service. The closure, followed by months of reduced capacity, has had an effect on our revenues. But the centrality of our work, the recognition by so many that the JCC is the hub of our community, the living room where people of every denomination, ability, opinion, and interest gather together, did not go unnoticed. Our community came together in unprecedented ways for this unprecedented time. Last year's campaign, which took place just as the restrictions were kicking in, was our most successful ever. Even in that time, when so many were uncertain about their employment situation and the economy in general, existing supporters and new donors came forward in ways that we have not seen before. This year's campaign has been hugely encouraging as well. We also need to give credit to the government wage subsidy program, which have really helped us stay afloat and helped us to have a successful fiscal year. Without that, I'm not sure we would have been successful. The federal and provincial governments helped us survive and thrive. There are other silver linings. While most sleepaway camps were closed or open but with limited capacities this summer, the JCC summer camps were even more in demand than ever. In 2020, we operated out of the Talmud Torah School. In 2021, we operated out of King David High School. We were able to deliver this program so deeply needed by families, not only for daycare needs, but also for socialization, learning, and fun, to more participants than ever before. Our numbers were unbelievable. Families were confident in our ability to keep their kids safe. We did not disappoint. Again, all credit to our amazing staff and the support from the Jewish Federation. Last year, we delivered chutzpah, and against all odds, our all-virtual presentation was a huge success. We were able to welcome guests from across Canada, from New York, and other places in North America, and really from around the world. Likewise, we were able to engage performers virtually who would not have been able to travel to Vancouver otherwise. Tonight is the last night of our first ever hybrid Chutzpah Festival. This year, we have had live performances as well as virtual and live-streamed opportunities. And while we will be formally gathering feedback from performers and audiences, every indication so far is that this has been a magnificent, even magical festival. Another remarkable achievement was the delivery of our first ever virtual JCC RBC Sports Dinner. While we are excited to return to the in-person format that is really the highlight of the year for so many enthusiastic fans and supporters, it is a testament to the extraordinary flexibility, creativity, and resilience of our Sports Dinner Committee and staff team that we're able to pull off such a successful event given everything. Through all of these challenges and achievements, we have not ever dropped the ball on the overarching project that consumes so much of my energies and the attention of a team of professionals and volunteers who are leading the biggest capital project BC's Jewish community has ever seen. While navigating everything else, we have been full steam ahead on planning for the redevelopment of this site. In April, along with Federation and King David High School, we hired a capital campaign director, Emily Pritchard, and she has been working with our president, Alvin Wasserman, and the campaign team to put together the campaign structure, including goals and benchmarks, naming opportunities, marketing materials, the million small and large things that go into a successful project of this type. In 2019, the JCC and the Jewish Federation signed a memorandum of understanding. I cannot express in strong enough terms how mutually supportive and productive the relationship between the JCC and Federation is. Ezra and the entire team is completely committed to this project. They understand as much as we do the generational community building impact this redevelopment project will have. Thank you to the whole Federation family. This year, we signed a memorandum of understanding with the King David High School. Together, these three agencies, in partnership with all of the other community agencies and constituents, are moving forward on one of the most extraordinary undertakings our community has ever seen. We've also hired a consulting firm that specializes in governance, because things are going to change around here, not only in the most visible ways, but also behind the scenes in how we operate and work together. This is a genuine whole community initiative. It is a collegial partnerships among all constituents, and that means we're going to need to evolve the way we govern ourselves. We're going to be stewards of a spectacular asset, not only the new JCC, but the new high school, a new home for all of our resident agencies, and the towers of housing that will be sustaining source of revenue in perpetuity. The redevelopment project is recognized by all levels of government as a vital and valuable contribution to our city, province, and country. The city has been incredibly supportive all through the planning stage. In April, the province announced a commitment of $25 million. We have also had a commitment from the Liberal federal government, which we anticipate will match the provincial contribution. This will be the largest government contribution in Canadian history to a Jewish communal initiative. It is truly unprecedented. All of these accomplishments are due to the diligence of our volunteer board members headed by President Alvin Wasserman. Thank you, Alvin, for your ongoing leadership. I want to take a moment to thank the members of the board who are completing their service tonight. Thank you, Hillary Cooper. Your generosity of spirit and time are deeply appreciated. And let us welcome the new members joining the board tonight. These are Ellie Grushko and Josh Gibbons. All of you and your children and grandchildren will know that you have been an irreplaceable part of building the center figuratively and literally. You have strengthened our entire community by guiding us through this time of historic challenges. And you are the visionaries who have launched our community into an era of historic achievement. Thank you all, those who are joining and those who are completing their terms and those who are continuing. We also mark a bittersweet milestone tonight. One of our longest serving staff members, really a pillar of warmth and welcoming spirit at the JCC for more than 26 years, is beginning a well-earned retirement. Debbie Tabenkin's JCC journey began on September 1995 when she started teaching English language classes to new Canadians. Her role expanded to include coordinating birthday parties and working at membership and facilities. In 2003, Debbie was offered the position of Coordinator of Family Programs, which later changed into Program Director and eventually Director of Programming and Strategic Initiatives. Among many of Debbie's initiatives, she's especially proud of directing the Israel at 60th Festival at Stanley Park. This was one of the most memorable and successful celebrations our community has ever seen and is remembered with pride by everyone who attended. We know Debbie will be a frequent visitor, so this is not a goodbye, of course. But it is an opportunity to thank her publicly for bringing ruach and so much devotion to everything she does and to everyone who she encounters. Thank you, Debbie. I don't think that anyone anticipated that the global crisis that began in March of last year would last until now. We wish it had never happened. But we have learned a lot about ourselves, about our community, and about our resilience of the JCC family. We've learned to adapt as necessary, to innovate, to meet our mission, even in the face of unparalleled global events. Last year, we spoke about closing doors. This year, it's all about opening doors. We're returning slowly but absolutely surely, not to the way things were before, but to something maybe even better. We've been tested, and we have come through in ways that perhaps we ourselves did not know were possible. Now we step into the future with hope, determination, and confidence. We move into a new phase that will see the first visible steps in the realization of our revitalized campus, while continuing without interruption to deliver the programs and services that are so important to individuals and our entire community. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Staff Service Awards. At this time, I would like to recognize 10 of our employees who are celebrating long service anniversary this year. I'll start with a 5-year category. We have 4 employees with 5 years of service. Chen Lieberman. Chen was born in Israel. He graduated from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem with a bachelor's degree and from David Yellin College of Education with a teaching certificate in early childhood education. Moving to Canada, he decided to continue his work with young children and is in pursuit of his ECE certificate. Chen's vast knowledge is a great asset to the ECE team. Next is Jennifer Trickett, also from our early childhood department. Jen started her journey in ECE in 2001. After several years at other centers, working mostly with infants and toddlers, she came to the JCC in 2016 as supervisors in Yeladim Daycare. We were excited to have her move into the position of ECE Director in 2018. She's a natural leader, and her guidance through the pandemic was exemplary, and we're so happy to have her here. Next is Pedro from our maintenance team. Pedro has been a fantastic addition to the maintenance team. He originally came to the JCC working for BI, Beth Israel, while they were renovating their facility. He was an excellent worker and very friendly, so naturally, I asked him to work at the JCC. Luckily, he accepted, and the rest is history. Thank you for your service, Pedro. It's appreciated. Next is Limor Cohen. Limor Cohen took over the Inclusion Department in September 2016. In her 5 years, she has accomplished amazing things. Some of her achievements include taking a group of diverse adults on a trip to Israel, including forging relationships with a community in our partnership region. This subsequently led to a creative art programming at the JCC, which has resulted in an annual community longing and belonging art show. The members of the community also performed as part of the renowned Chutzpah Festival. Cannot wait to see what the next 5 years will bring. At the 10-year category, Kaylin Adamus. Kaylin joined the JCC in 2011 as the head lifeguard and lesson supervisor at our aquatic center and has been a crucial member of the aquatics team ever since. He has provided leadership, support, and mentored many of the new lifeguards, as well as provided warm and diplomatic service on the front lines to our membership, program participants, lesson parents, and other pool users. Kaylin has successfully coached the Jays Swim Club and taught hundreds of kids to swim over his tenure. He's reliable, responsible, and we're very grateful to have had the opportunity to work with him over the last 10 years. Now to the 15-year category, and we have 2 employees with 15 years of service. Nancy Miller, Associate Program Director by day, sushi connoisseur by night. After 10 years in the insurance industry and 4 years as a tiny human personal assistant, Nancy was ready for a career change. Nancy's JCC journey started in the ECE department in 2006 as the after-school care coordinator with a commitment to stay for 2 years. However, she quickly develops a strong sense of devotion to the organization. 15 years later, Nancy feels a deep appreciation for how the JCC seeks to improve the quality of life through our programs and services, one program at a time. Her door is always open to stop by and for a chat, coffee, some sweet treats, or anything else you might need. Rania Zubus. Rania started at the JCC as a student on practicum. She made quite an impression and was hired to sub, and as soon as the position was open, it was hers. Rania's passion, caring nature, and determination has brought her to the role of Shalom Aleph supervisor. Rania's sense of humor and cooking is a vital part of the ECE JCC program. 25 years of service. Suzanne Ma. In 1996, Suzanne answered the calling to a career in early childhood education because she always believed that every child has the potential to be great. It is through meaningful relationships, hard work, and kind leadership she has played a key role in the growth and foundation of the ECE team. Suzanne continues each day to cultivate meaningful connections between children and their environment and creating a sense of stewardship to our precious world. And now for the last category, but not least, 40 years of service. Gabby Leverant. Gabby has been the face of the Pro Shop for over 30 years, but her story with the J starts 10 years before, when she joined the JCC to work in reception, back when the JCC was just 1 floor. She worked in reception for about 10 years before she moved over to splitting her time between Pro Shop and reception, which she did for about 4 years, until she became a full-time Pro Shop staff member. There are a few members or program participants who haven't been greeted by Gabby on a visit to the J over the years. Anyone who knows Gabby knows her love for animals. She and her husband have rescued many animals, including wildlife and pets. Her current collection includes pet birds and a wolf husky cross from the Northwest Territories, but she also has made friends with the skunks, raccoons, possums in her yard, as well as JCC's resident crow population. She competes in sports including horse shows, barrel racing, and rodeo. She always enjoys camping, snowmobiling, skiing, and watching NASCAR. Next on the agenda, Saul Caceres to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Eldad. And now I'd like to place a motion to adjourn the annual general meeting. So I need a motion to adjourn the AGM. A second? Once again, please vote on your computers. All in favor and opposed? Motion carried. So at this point, I do need the board of directors to stay on the line. However, everyone else is free to stay or leave as they wish. If you are going, I do want to thank you for joining us again this year. Sorry it was virtual. Look forward to seeing you all next year in person. Thank you for attending. Thank you for voting and for being a part of the JCC. Really appreciate it. And now I'd like to call for all the directors. Please stay on, and we have to do an election of the officers. So the proposed slate is President Alvin Wasserman, past President, myself, Solomon Caceres, VP Membership, Michelle Pollack, Treasurer, Lionel Raber, Secretary, Jill Shore, and members at large, Boyd Barron, Shannon Gorski, Zev Shafford, and Nancy Sturr. So now I need a motion to approve the officers the executive officers as stated. Second, please vote. All in favor and opposed? Motion carried. Now, I need a motion. I need someone to move that the special meeting of the Board of Directors be adjourned. I need a second. All in favor? Motion carried. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate you attending, and I look forward to seeing you next year.